Massive news in the world of the Pokemon TCG, as Pokemon over in Japan have just revealed a brand new Pokemon Black and White inspired set. I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about this upcoming set in Japan, its release date outside of Japan, and our first look at some of the new cards. This upcoming Black and White set is very much in the style of 151, where we're going to get a card for all 156 Unova Pokemon. This is going to be out in Japan on June 6th and coming out outside of Japan on July 18th, 2025. Now, we know the cards in Japan, like the sets in Japan, it's two different mini sets called Black Bolt and White Flare. Outside of Japan, we don't know what that exact name is. It's probably going to be Black and White something, if I had to guess. We also know that these cards are going to be part of their own special set, so it's not going to be like a Destined Rivals that's looping in a bunch of different sets from Japan and lumping them all into one. This is going to be just the Black and White set. Now let's look at some of the big cards. And of course, Zekrom EX is here as the black of Pokemon Black and White. It is a lightning type Pokemon with 230 HP with 2 attacks. Slash for 2 energy, colorless energy at that, does 50 damage. And then the second attack, Voltage Burst for 2 lightning and a colorless energy, does 130 damage and 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. This Pokemon also does 30 damage to itself. So the 30 damage is not great, going down from 230 to 200. Very much puts you in one-hit KO territory amongst many of the other attackers in the game, but the being able to do additional damage based on the number of prizes your opponent has taken can be pretty serious business. If they've taken 2 prizes, that's 230, at which point you're one-hit KOing most of the big basic EXs in the game. And if they have taken 5 prizes when you use this attack, this is doing 380 damage, at which point you are knocking out stage 2 Pokemon as well. Now, the downside is, yes, you have to be pretty far in the game to unlock its full potential, but this does seem like at the very least, an interesting attacker that could see some play. We are seeing some new lightning support that we'll get to in a minute that makes this a little easier to power up as well. Another thing to note here is that Zekrom EX is going to live in a time of Mega Evolution Pokemon. And we've seen Gardevoir EX, which is the biggest one we've seen thus far, which has 360 HP. And if Zekrom EX is able to knock that out and take 3 prizes, this card becomes even better. Now, I do suspect that there will be stage 2 Mega Evolution EXs that have more than 360 HP. Gardevoir historically is on the lower end of the spectrum for stage 2 Pokemon HPs. Maybe 380 is going to be a good number to take out at least the average size. Just speculating at this point, but the fact that you could potentially take 3 prizes in one go at some point after, once the Mega Evolutions arrive, make this card very cool. Alongside of Zekrom, of course, we have Reshiram EX. This is a fire type Pokemon with 230 HP. They both share the slash attack and kind of share the second attack as well. Blaze Burst for 2 fire and a colorless energy does 130 damage, so that's the same as Zekrom, but the effect is slightly different. This attack does 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. Discard an energy from this Pokemon. So I think this effect is actually, I guess, I would say a little better, right? You don't have to take damage to yourself, and there's new fire support here, which makes discarding an energy not that big of a deal. And again, you are hitting for upwards of 200 or 380 damage if your opponent has taken 5 prizes. And going forward, once we have Mega Evolution Pokemon, this could potentially knock out a Mega Evolution stage 2 in one go. So maybe in the early game this card is a little wonky, but towards the end game its power level is absolutely nuts. I normally don't focus on the rarities of cards when we talk about these. We primarily focus on the gameplay aspects of them, but did want to note that there is a brand new rarity specific to this Black and White set called the Black and White Rare cards. And here's the look at the Zekrom card, definitely inspired by this iconic Zekrom card from the Black and White era. And then, of course, Reshiram has one as well with that white on white, well, and again, inspired by that classic card from back in the day. Should also note that Victini gets a card in that style, but this time it is all red, and we'll talk about Victini in just a sec. Kyurem EX also looking very similar to Zekrom and Reshiram, 230 HP. They both share the slash attack. They both have the burst attack, which starts at 130 damage, and this time it's 2 water and a colorless. But we don't get the scaling of damage in quite the same way. The effect on this one is that this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each prize card your opponent has taken. So if they've taken 5 prizes, you are also doing 50 snipe to the bench, and it's not necessarily I don't think this is as good as the other ones. 50 snipe can be okay, but we are also going into an era where Shaman will be here to block the bench from damage, so this effective attack isn't going to work as well. And if we're starting at like 10 damage, 20, 30, like maybe like halfway through the game you can snipe out a Badoo, and that's kind of cool. I right off the top of my head, I don't like this one as much as the other two. Serperior EX is here. It is a grass-type Pokemon with 320 HP, and its Royal Cheer ability allows your Pokemon to do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, 20 more damage is nice, but there are other ways of modifying your damage that don't require you to set up a stage 2, so that this doesn't feel ideal. Maybe there are going to be some scenarios where you can stack modifiers on top of each other with Serperior, and maybe you're hitting some really cool breakpoints. Just off the top of my head, maybe something like an Archaludon would really appreciate a Serperior, because 220 is just like such a weird number, and Archaludon is always running some sort of way of getting past that weird limitation. Maybe Serperior is the thing that puts it over the top, but I highly doubt it. 20 damage is nice. I'm not sure it's worth setting up a stage 2 for, and its attack grass order for a grass and 3 colorless energy does 150 damage, and you may search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Now, with the damage modifier, that's 170. 4 energy is a lot, but there is some support for this as well that makes it a little... I still don't like this attack. Even with the support that we'll talk about in a bit, I still don't like this attack, and I'm not sure that the ability is really going to be enough to make this see play. Here's the regular version of Victini, and we saw the fancy red one a little earlier in this video. This has the attack V-Force, where for 2 fire energy, you do 120 damage, and if you have less than 5 bench Pokemon, this attack does nothing. And there's going to be... like, taking out some single prize Pokemon with this can be nice. Again, there's some more fire support that does make this a little easier to power up. I don't necessarily love this card though. 120 on a basic, and being able to throw this into a fire deck to skew the prize race a little bit here, it's fine. And yeah, there will be times, because we are getting some amazing fire support in this deck, or like in this set of cards, that maybe this sees some play here and there. My favorite addition to the black and white set that we've seen such far is Electric. Its ability, Dynamotor, is huge. Once during your turn, you may attach a lightning energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. We know this is a busted ability, because in the Sword and Shield era, we had Flaffy, which had the exact same ability, and then before that we had Electric, which also had this exact same ability and was very good. So I'm really excited to see this come back, and this is coming back at a really interesting point where we also have Electric Generator and Magneton, and these days Joltik as well, for getting lightning energy on the board. But we also have to keep in mind that Electric Generator is going away in the upcoming rotation a year. I know it's a long time from now, a year from now, so there won't be as much support, but like lightning decks are going to go crazy once this card comes out. The other two Pokemon, Tynamo and Electros, there isn't really anything to talk about there, but Electric I definitely see getting play. Lightning is not the only typing that is getting extra energy acceleration. Emboar is huge for fire decks, where the Inferno Fandango ability lets you accelerate a fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. This is essentially Baxcalibur for fire decks, and this is incredible because fire decks have really struggled with energy acceleration over the years, pretty much since Welder went away, and now they've got their own version of the Baxcalibur, the Rain Dance. if you will, and that's really going to open the door for a lot of fire type Pokemon and fire decks to come back into prominence. And yes, in Destined Rivals over in Japan, we are seeing a little bit of fire action in Typhlosion getting some play, but I think this card is awesome and is definitely going to see play and open the door for fire decks to potentially be a bigger threat going forward. Samurott has the attack Energy Slash, where it does 30 damage for 1 energy, plus 50 more damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. So if you've got 4 energy on here, you're doing 230 damage. That's going to be enough to knock out a lot of the big basics in the game. However, I think it's here more for its ability, Strong Currents, where once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. It's essentially Escape Rope, which we used to have as an item card in the Sword and Shield era, but it's a stage 2 Pokemon. This is a pretty annoying ability. I'm not sure if it's worth putting down a stage 2 specifically for this. Its attack is not bad either. We do know we can power this up at least for the next year with Baxcalibur to get a whole bunch of energy on here. And shout out to Dewott, which has a similar attack, doing a bunch of damage based on how much energy is attached. Although 30 for each means you're going to need a ton of energy to take any meaningful KOs. But there might be times where the Dewott actually does do some damage. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I do generally like the Strong Currents ability, but I'm not sure it's worth setting up a stage 2 in order to have that handy. I could be proven wrong, but yeah, I'm not so sure. It could be good, maybe not. Stoutland has 2 attacks. The second attack, Special Fang, for 4 energy, does 100 damage, and if this Pokemon has any special energy attached to it, this attack does 100 more damage. Yes, there is support for this that we're going to talk about a little later in the video, but I still don't think 200 on a stage 2 is worth it, especially considering, yeah, 160 HP on a single prize stage 2 Pokemon. No, that ain't it. And its first attack, Odor Sleuth, for 2 colorless energy. You flip 3 coins, and for each heads, put a card from your discard pile into your hand. Now, being able to recover any sort of cards is really good. We most recently saw Silene have a similar effect where you flip 2 coins and for each heads you get a card back, and we've seen that card win tournaments. Now, the problem here is this is a stage 2 Pokemon. You have to put 2 energy on it. Is it really going to be worth it for that type of recovery? Maybe. There might be certain control decks in particular that I'm thinking of that would want this type of card recovery in it, but having to tie it to a stage 2 and have to put 2 energy on here does make me think it's going to be, I'm not sure that it's going to be worth it. Air Balloon is coming back. The last time we saw this card was in the Sword and Shield era, and it saw a lot of play, and I can see this getting a fair amount of play as well, where the retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 2 colorless less, giving just more options for retreating. We do have like Rescue Board, which reduces your retreat cost by 1 while also healing if you've only, no one ever used the second attack of Rescue Board, but Air Balloon just gives you the opportunity to get 2 retreat less. And basic decks maybe don't use this because they've got Latias EX, which is phenomenal, but evolution decks that are looking for some sort of retreat option will definitely gravitate towards Air Balloon. Energy Retrieval is also getting a reprint where we've seen this card many times before. Put up the 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand, and I should note here that it does have an updated tournament marking. It is the letter I, which means this will be standard legal for years to come. Remember just a second ago we were talking about Energy Retrieval and how that got a renewed tournament marking? Well, we have a new Professor's Research, and Professor's Research is a card that we first got officially in Sword and Shield, but we did see this card have different names. But yeah, the discard your hand and draw 7 cards is a card we have had for a while. And we got a new printing of Professor's Research here, but they didn't update the tournament marking. If they were going to do a new print, why would they not update the tournament marking? And this is not the first time they have done this year. We've also seen Judge earlier this year where it got a new printing, new art. They're going out of their way to make new versions of these cards, but they didn't update the tournament marking like they did with Energy Retrieval. And it might be a little too early to sound the alarm. They may choose to update these later in a future printing, but it does seem kind of odd. Like, why wouldn't, if you're going to go through the effort of printing these cards, why would you not update the tournament marking now? And like Judge, we've seen come and go. There have been formats where Judge does not exist, and that's fine. But Professor's Research has been a staple card for a number of years now, and there is potentially, I don't want to be too alarmist here, but the fact that Pokemon is not going out of their way to update the tournament marking on Professor's Research while they're printing it right now, but they are going to update the tournament marking on Energy Retrieval, is potentially a sign. And just to be clear, that sign that I'm alluding to here is that there is a possibility that Professor's Research rotates out next year and we just don't have a Professor's Research. Again, just speculating here. There are signs. This is very odd that they did not make this a letter I. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think this is something we need to keep on our radar right now and see if we get a future printing of Professor's Research with an updated tournament marking. Sharon is here to draw 3 cards. We have seen variations of this card for eons, and there are just better draw supporters out here, so there's no real reason to play this. Hilda's a brand new supporter. Lets you search your deck for 1 evolution Pokemon and 1 energy card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. I do like this in a world where Badoo exists, allowing you to get an evolution Pokemon and an energy even under item lock. And on top of that, it does specify energy and not like basic energy or special energy. So you can just grab any type of energy from the deck with something like Hilda. And I do see this getting at least a little bit of play in certain decks, especially those that run special energy. Speaking of which, we have 2 new special energies, and I've been hinting at this one for quite some time in the video. Ignition Energy counts as a single energy when it's attached to just a Pokemon, but if this card is attached to an evolution Pokemon, it counts 3 colorless energy. So we've seen the Superior EX that has a 3 colorless cost. We also have seen the Stoutland, which also has a 3 colorless cost. And off the top of my head, I can't think of other evolution Pokemon that would benefit from 3 colorless energy, but 3 colorless energy is a lot. So I do foresee this card getting some play and Pokemon printing more cards that will support Ignition Energy. Last card we're going to look at today is Prism Energy, where this card provides a colorless energy unless it's attached to a basic Pokemon, at which point it provides any type of energy. So I had to do a double take here because I'm like, isn't this just luminous energy? And they even have the same sort of rainbow icon here, but Prism Energy and Luminous Energy are a little different. Prism Energy counts as a rainbow energy to basic Pokemon, and for evolution Pokemon, it's just colorless. But Luminous Energy is rainbow energy to any type of Pokemon, but if you attach another special energy, it just counts as colorless. So in basic decks, you can put multiple Prism Energies on a Pokemon in order for it to count as whatever you want, unlike Luminous Energy, where the moment you put a second special energy on, it nullifies Luminous Energy. A little confusing, but I do see the value in Prism Energy, and this will definitely see play in some decks. Like off the top of my head, like this is an easy card you slip into a deck running Monkey Dory, for example. So now you don't necessarily have to run Dark Energy. You probably still run Dark Energy, but Prism Energy can double as energy for Monkey Dory, plus whatever other cards you are playing as well. There we go. That is our first look at the upcoming Black and White set. I hope you guys are excited for these upcoming cards. I actually have never played Pokemon Black and White, the video games, and I was not playing the game during the Black and White era. However, I am excited for some of the cards that they have shown today. I think there's a lot of potential in them, and I'm very much excited that they brought back some Sword and Shield era cards like the Air Balloon and like Electric, which I know also has been flaffy in the Sword and Shield era. There's a bunch of really good cards here, and I'm excited to see more. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at In Third Person. You can find me on Twitch at In Third Person, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website inthirdperson.com for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.